Welcome to the Esthetician Coach podcast, where passion meets strategy. I'm your host and esthetician coach, Amber Boone, and each week we're talking strategies, solutions, and mindset to build and attract your best life and career yet. Today, I'm excited to welcome Kaylan Aubrey to the show. Kaylan is a licensed esthetician and the owner of Skin Boutique by Kaylan since 2020. In this episode, we're going to dive into how to build a loyal clientele, the ups and downs of hiring a team, and mastering your client retention. Kaylan's journey is full of valuable lessons and inspiration for anyone in the aesthetics industry. So let's dive in. Hi, Kaylan. How are you? Thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your knowledge and expertise.
All right. Well, Amber, thanks for having me. I feel honored that you asked me to be a part of this today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known about your business for a while. You've been an inspiration to me and so many others. So I thought it would be so helpful for other estheticians to kind of hear your story. You own your own business and you've been an esthetician for how long now?
To be exact, I was licensed in 2007. I started 2 years prior to that as a receptionist at a very well-known dermatology office, dermatology consultants, who I'm grateful for because that helped me learn a lot of things before I even went into school. So going on 20 years of knowledge, and then I got 17 years as a licensed esthetician.
So how long did you work for someone before? Well, let me back up. Okay, so what made you decide to become an esthetician in the first place? How did you get started on your esthetician journey?
Okay, so this is a funny story. So I am talking back in the 2000s. So technology was not what it was today. I graduated from high school in 2002, didn't really know what I wanted to do, finished an associate's applied in science at the community college, Lexington Community College here in Kentucky, and just, really stuck at not knowing what I wanted to do. But I looked at businesses and careers financially. How many years of school do you have to go? How much do they make? That's all I was looking for. I even tried radiology tech. That was a no-go. The first Spinal Tap I saw, I was like, nope, that's not for me. Called my parents, like, so sorry, I got to get out of this program. So they were very patient, very supportive of me. I'm thankful for them because it was years, that they were wasting some of their money of like hoping that I would decide my career. So thankful for them. For believing in me. I got married around age 20, very early, my high school sweetheart, and we moved away for a year. So that changed kind of the career direction, but I was finished with my associates in science. My mom called one day and was like, Kaylan, you like skincare. I'm like, yes, I do, because I was a child of Accutane. Actually, have pros and cons about it, but back then there was nothing but Accutane to cure for acne. She was like, I remember going to the dermatologist. You were so fascinated with skin. I was like, I would love to do like skincare stuff, but I don't want to be a dermatologist. So she was like, well, there was an article in the newspaper. I'm going to clip it out. I'm going to send it to you. Because see, technology then was not, let me take a picture and send to you. So my lovely mother clipped it out of the newspaper, mailed it to me in Pennsylvania where we were living. She couldn't even pronounce what it was. That's what was hilarious. I even was like, esthetician, I'm like, okay, what is this? Let me get on the internet. And even on the internet, you couldn't find anything back then. If it was like in New York or California. So that's how the esthetician career got brought to my attention was my lovely mother. Moms know best sometimes, and I give her a shout out because she knew that I had a passion for skin, just didn't know what area to go in. So that's how I got into the aesthetics school. I looked at the article. I immediately called Melissa Anderson, that was in charge of the aesthetic program at Bluegrass Community Technical College, and she had already had a waiting list. The first class had already filled up, and so it was a year program at the time, but I registered, and then by the time we moved back from Pennsylvania, the doors all opened up for me to start the aesthetics school as soon as I got back to Kentucky.
I love that your mom was the one that pointed it out to you.
Yeah.
Your whole career path, basically.
Yeah. She was in the cosmetology world for hair, so she was a hairstylist for years. She always wanted me to do hair, and I was like, no, I have no desire to do hair. but she knew I had a creative entrepreneurship behind me, I guess.
Okay, so get your esthetician license. Do you know what direction you want to go in with your esthetician license? Were you putting filters out there?
I was immediately medical because that's all I knew. As a kid, teenager, going to dermatology consultants, you're there like almost weekly, every 2 weeks, and you're trying to figure out your regimen with them. So they had a program, a plan of care. So you really got to know your dermatologist really well. I learned a lot from them and I was very grateful for it. So when I went into aesthetics, I immediately was medical. I had gotten a job as a receptionist before even going to school, and I got a job at my dermatology office. And I'm thankful for that knowledge going into the school because it helped my education. My teacher, Miss Melissa Anderson, was amazing and taught us more than most esthetician teachers take time to teach. So I'm grateful for her as well as the dermatology office I worked for. It just was the knowledge behind it that really set me up for success when I got out of school.
So how long were you a receptionist before? Did you switch over to being an esthetician at that office? How did that work?
Pivot. We were just talking about pivoting. You always have to pivot in life. You always have plans and you have goals, but sometimes they don't align. And I'm a woman of faith, so I most definitely feel like God puts you in different places during different times to meet different people and connections. And sometimes you look back and realize it came full circle. So in the beginning, I would have loved to have worked at their office. Dermatology consultants had an amazing skincare practice. They just didn't have room. They already had 2 full-time estheticians. So unfortunately, I did have to look elsewhere. They did letter of recommendation. I worked at a med spa in Lexington, and that's where I first got a job.
Okay. And so how long did you work at your first aesthetics job?
The first practice was Skin Solutions, and around 3 years. And
Okay.
there was now that I look back, my career almost was every 3 years there was change.
That's funny. So you get bored every 3 years?
I guess so. Every 3 years, it became the joke with Skin Secrets because when I actually ended up making it back to Skin Secrets in my career path. So I worked there around 3 years. A little bit of, trying to figure out my career path and where I want it to go for more assurance. I looked back into medical and I was able to get a job connecting with actually one of my friends that was already working at Wells Plastic Surgery and Skincare. She was able to kind of get me a referral over there for an interview. And I interviewed with them, and that was my next path, was working for Wells Plastic Surgery and Skincare.
You had a lot of medical aesthetics background before opening your own space.
Yes, I did. So Wells Plastic Surgery and Skincare, I always give them a huge shout out because they are the first doctors, Henry Wells and Susan Wells. They're the ones that actually believed in me and got emotional. Henry Wells and Susan Wells were amazing. They were amazing mentors for me because they actually took me as an esthetician and saw my value in their practice and sent me to multiple education seminars. I got to experience their meetings yearly. It was American Society of Plastic Surgeons and a wealth of knowledge. Working there probably set me up for the biggest success. For me, being a business owner at Skin Boutique by Kaylan, I look back and I'm like, because of them believing in me, I was able to transition in my career to where I am now. And now I'm at a point in my career, I'm able to get back to my employees and value them the same way with their education and making them the best expert in their field. Because if you don't have that expertise and knowledge, it can go good or bad for an esthetician.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about you and your business is that you are very knowledgeable, but you want to teach and train your estheticians so that they can be successful as an esthetician, not only in your business, but in life too. So I love that.
I think it's important. That is one of the things, like your core values. There was something I was reading, part of the book, Let Them. I think everybody should read that for their personal life and business life. I haven't completed the book yet, but just some things have stuck out. And Mel Robinson, she is amazing. But she said not everyone has the same values, goals, and heart as you do. And that's hits you with your personal life or your business life. So yeah, and that's just something that stuck out to me recently with transitioning myself and my role in my business and being an owner of SBBK. And I was the face of SBBK to now handing that over to these estheticians to set them up for success.
Yeah. So when did you know that you were ready to open your own space? How did that transpire?
A funny story. I don't always have the easy stories. I have stories that people are like, are you making this up? I'm like, no, my stories are always like this. I can't make this up. It happened. The good things and bad things happen in life and they make us stronger, right? And we count our blessings from them. Even in the darkest storms, there's always like light at the end. I was pregnant with my second child. I was working at a place, I won't mention, with all due respect. I was just working at a place that I didn't feel valued, and I was pregnant, and I was asked to like move heavy boxes all the time. I was asked to do things where I'm like, I'm pregnant. I shouldn't be doing that. There was just some things that happened leading into the pregnancy. I had to leave work because I could tell I didn't feel right, and I thought I was having Braxton Hicks contractions. Went to the doctor. They're like, you're not going anywhere. But during that time that I'm waiting on the doctor to come see the results of the readings, and they had me hooked up to everything, seeing how far my contractions were, I got a phone call from the management asking if I was coming back into work that day to see my clients. And it just hit me in that moment as motherhood of, you could call and ask if I'm okay, for one. I didn't say that because I was young and didn't have a backbone. But I respectfully said, well, it does not look like I'm going to be able to come in today, the rest of the day. So you probably need to reschedule my clients. And it was, well, do you think you'll be in tomorrow? And I was like, I'm literally waiting on the doctor to tell me like what I'm supposed to do because I'm having contractions and I'm not due right now. So I remember hanging up from that and just feeling that moment of, my life has to change. My pathway has to change. I can't work at a place that doesn't respect me enough, but like my health. And I ended up being hospitalized. And in the hospital, I picked up the phone and called an old manager. So by the way, guys, don't ever burn bridges where you work, because even though I had changed my careers to better my career each time for me and my happiness and sanity, I feel like if I had told people how I felt and left on an exit interview in a bad situation, I would have never had the relationships I actually still have today, because you grow and you mature through your career. And personally, I reached out to an awesome manager that I had, and I just said, hey, you've always believed in me. You always told me to open my own business. I think I'm at that point. I'm ready to open my own business. I always had a cheerleader in my corner. I just never saw the potential in myself to open a business. I was like, there's no way I can do that. Had the dreams and a vision, but never felt I believed in myself. So went to the woman who was in the corner all the time for me, saying, you should totally do this. As I started Skin Boutique by Kaylan in Lexington, but it was only a short amount of time, around almost like 2 or 3 years. And then life happened, from having 2 kids to taking 2 kids out of foster care who were my cousin's kids overnight, flipped my world. And I had to pivot in my career and take 2 years off from owning my own business, focus on the kids that I had taken out of foster. I needed that time off in a way to focus on family.
Okay, so many questions, but first, back to don't ever burn bridges. I 100% completely agree with you. You should just never burn bridges. Just don't do it. It's not worth it.
The Catherine School of Aesthetics, to Melissa Anderson, she ended up developing her own school. And she's been so successful because she's an amazing woman. And I was so honored that she had me come back and speak to a few of her classes and just giving them, an introduction of who I am, what I do. And that was my talk. I said, just never burn bridges, ladies, because you're so early in your career. You never know what it's going to be. And I gave them like my testimony of that, because it came full circle that the woman that I reached out to about, I'm going to take that leap of faith and go out on my own, that was Miss Robin, that was a manager at Wells Plastic Surgery and Skincare. And if I had left on bad terms, then I would have never had that nourished relationship throughout the years to be able to go back and say, hey, do you have a connection? And she did, because she worked now or later on at Dr. David Cowan's office in Lexington, who had a spot available for a business opportunity. And that was the connection, so I was able to take that leap. And if I had burned that bridge, nothing would have ever came. And Susan Wells, here's a little don't burn the bridge. I left on good terms, but, at the time, me and Susan always laughed because I always said she micromanaged me too much. But that was me in my early 20s. I needed to be micromanaged, and respectfully so. Hey, you learn from the best, right? So she, full circle, when I opened Skin Boutique by Kaylan in for sales, which we can touch on after this because I've gone a little long on my story. But I reached out to her because I'm like, I'm getting skin results with chemical peels that are very superficial, with light therapy staying in my range of practice as an esthetician. I was like, but I just feel like if I can get them to do the BBL or that IPL laser, I can really make the skin turn over. Please use your facility. My passion was laser in the medical industry before I left. And she, of course, opened her heart and willingness to bring me back into the practice and be able to practice when Dr. Wells was on inside on office and I would bring my clients in once a month. If I didn't have that relationship, that would have never happened. So ladies, do not burn your bridges.
It's all about networking in this industry. You opened your business for, you said 2 to 3 years. So what was it like for you? Did you bring clientele with you? Did you have to start completely from scratch? How was your business during those 2 to 3 years that you was open?
The first leap.
The first leap.
The first leap, it was from scratch. You have to think in our industry, social media was not available to market yourself. And even if you worked at places, before, like if you left, they did not tell people where you went. So people usually you just lost touch. So social media started coming around that time where I think it helped get like, oh, there's Kaylan. She's opened her own place at Dr. Cowan's office. So thank goodness for social media, because at that point, there was no thing, nothing tied to you can't mention where you work, you can't do, it was social media. So I was able to get myself out on social media to let people know where I had just opened it. So I would say it built from ground up, because I did have some people that found me, but not enough to establish that client retention that you need to have a successful esthetician business. So we did a lot of cross referral at his office. We did work together as a team and do a lot of cross referral. And I had support in the marketing department on their part to help build my clientele.
You were inside of another office,
yes.
Correct? Okay. And so fast forward, you need to take a break for family. Then when did you decide, okay, I'm ready to go back? How long was that in between?
The moment I had to leave the career, I was like, this can't be it. This cannot be it. And so my brain was brainstorming every day. I did take time to focus on the kids and the family and that kind of thing. And I'm one of those, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I know I can't be. So during that downtime, I was brainstorming. I even got a job at my friend's hair salon. So being creative during that 2 years, I couldn't just stay home while the kids were at school. So I went and worked at a salon, and she gave me the opportunity to be their front desk coordinator and help her hire and get a new team going for her. That was a nice outlet during that time. Being a part of that environment again got my wheels turning. So anytime I was going home or passing by downtown for sales, there was a building called the Amson that was just recently being renovated by the Riddles. And every day I drove by, I was like, I'm going to be in that building. I'm going to be in that building. I like almost manifested it, because daily I would say it to my kids, who were my little kids at the time. They were all in elementary and younger. They're like, Mom, we know. Because I'd be like, guys, I'm going to be there. I have a passion for the industry, and I know I'm good at what I do. And I was like, I've worked for all these people. I know what I do, and I know what I do well. I just want to open a business in my hometown, be close to home, be close to my kids, do what I do and do it well. And the original plan was all about me, myself, and I. And I don't want that to sound selfish, but it was like, okay, I can do this. I can build this. I can see my clientele. I can go home and be a mom. And that was my first initial vision of the business and what I wanted to do.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't think there's anything selfish about that, wanting to create a life that you can enjoy, and you enjoy what you're doing, but you also get to enjoy your home life.
Yeah.
You got into the space that you wanted to be in. What were your initial thoughts? Were you wanting to be in medical aesthetics still? How did you determine which niche or which path you were going to go down with your business?
That was a really hard one, because once you've been in medical and you've been around all the reps and you become little friends with them, and it's a community there, and use the best of the best products, the best of the best machines, the lasers. It was really hard to go, how am I going to make change to the skin? And like stand behind that with my integrity as an esthetician and a person. And I was like, wait, there's knowledge, there's, research, there's things I've done all these years. What works and what does not? So that's what I went with. I was like, microderms have been around for years and make huge transformation for skin. Talk about acne scarring, pigmentation, things like that. And that's originally what I started with at the dermatology office. They weren't doing the big major pills or the big things just yet. Go back to your roots. What works and what doesn't? I really focused on just within my license, what can I do? My superficial chemical pills, facial. Started out with the basics, and then through the years, I just kept adding light wave therapy, topical infusions, things that make change to the skin. Originally wanted medical, but I didn't want to go through, not saying it's a hassle because it's not, but to go through getting a medical director and then being compliant in my state to be like, well, are they going to be on site when I'm doing these things? Am I going to invest in a laser? Am I going to invest in this? And just then I realized it's just me trying to fit in with what I was used to. And I didn't want that anymore because I realized it's like a lot of more stress than I was needing at the time during this career change. So I was like, I'm just going to do what I do well, make change to the skin with what I know and pamper my clients because I always got in trouble for giving extra love during treatments because medical's very in and out, in and out. So I was really excited to bring both worlds with my medical expertise, but also the pampering aspect, the two come together because it's hard to find the two to come together. It's either all spa or all medical. And that was my goal. And Vision was like, I want both. I want to be able to give them the knowledge, the tools to make change to their skin within my scope of practice and also pamper them. So when they leave, they are so relaxed.
And that's why they keep coming back too.
Yes. Watching them come out and they're like, okay, I'm supposed to be going home and cleaning or running errands or going back to work. And you can tell they're just relaxed. That's when I know I've done my job and done it well.
So you've managed to give result-driven treatments without a medical director, basically, in your business.
I've had to be creative on just what treatments, layering treatments safely, not out of protocol. Following your state board regulations is important. And because I don't have a medical director, I'm not going to be doing the micro needling. I did bring in a micro channeling device, a ProCell, and kept it at within my regulation. I did some treatments with some light therapy and got good results, but then I'm going back to the core values. So I've kind of gone back to what grows the business, and I can make change with superficial pills and microderms and light wave therapy and topical infusions. And now I'm at a point where I'll just refer out for laser treatments because you get to a point with people's skin, they need a laser treatment or they need some collagen treatments with the RF microneedling or something more abrasive in a medical facility that needs to be handled.
So how long have you been, are you calling it SBBK or is it Skin Boutique for Kaylan? What's your business name?
It is Skin Boutique by Kaylan. SBBK took on its own with, so when I first opened Skin Boutique by Kaylan, which I guess we could go right into that. When did I open Skin Boutique by Kaylan?
Yeah, how long, that's where I was going.
Okay. Worst year to open a business. I don't even have to explain why because everybody knows 2020 COVID times. 2020 was whenever I finally was able to open SBBK, which was Skin Boutique by Kaylan still at that time. And we opened in March and we shut down in June. So I took that second leap of faith to open, and in my faith, I feel like God opened all the doors, but boy, did he close them. So I had to really question, is this my path? These doors literally just closed. But anyways, I had to think outside the box, get creative to get money in to pay my loan and to pay my rent. And that during that time, it was COVID times of doing live videos on skincare regimens, selling retail to get money to come in, selling skin regimens in boxes. And me and my kids would go all over town. It was Frankfurt, Lexington, and here in Purcell's, people would say, yes, I'll buy that. And then I would go deliver and drop that off. And that's how I survived that first year of COVID, was on local supporters and people tuning in and just wanting to do skincare at home. So I tapped into that trend and it did help pay the bills. What happened is when we went back to normalcy after COVID shut down and everybody was able to go back to work and people get out, we became saturated. I grew so fast between that 2021 to 2022 that me, myself, and I, that means me checking my clients out, scheduling them, pre-booking, helping them with their skin regimen at the end of their treatment, and then seeing them and providing the service. I could no longer do that solo. So I immediately actually had to reach out to family to be like, who can cover the front desk? Because I need help. So it was actually a blessing after COVID to be able to grow. And so the person that helped me was my brother of all. He had just moved back to Kentucky to kind of restart his life over. And he was actually in the process of looking for a job. But because I was like, I need somebody ASAP. I don't know what I can pay you, but I just need you to answer the phone, check people out. You got a good personality. You can do this. And he's like, a guy working at a spa. Are you kidding me? But thankfully, he has like a background in acting career and like he can just be the role. He can do it. And he has a great personality, very entertaining. And he came in, he started helping. People loved him. People loved, but you know what he did not love? He did not like saying, "Hello, thank you for calling Skin Boutique by Kaylan." He's like, "That is a mouthful, Kaylan. I can't do that." And so one day he was like, "I got you." He was like, "We're gonna say thanks for calling SBBK." He's like, "Doesn't that sound so much better, SBBK?" And I can just hear him saying it. So we went with it because it was a mouthful. I didn't know that when I decided to pick my business name years ago. So it stuck and clients loved it. And just today, I was in the office prepping the spa water and getting things going because we've rearranged our office. And I was getting the girls established before I came to my office to do this podcast. And one of my clients came in. She's like, "Oh, I was just talking to one of your people." And they're like, "What are you doing today?" And I was like, "Oh, heading to SVBK." And it was just so cute because I was like, man, they refer to SVBK. It really stuck.
Okay, so you'll go by either, basically.
Yeah, SVBK is just so much easier.
Okay, so you've been in business since 2020. You really saw growth happen after COVID. What are some of your tips for keeping your clients happy and coming back to see you, keeping that satisfaction up?
Client satisfaction. So in 2020, that was just a tough year. 2021, 22, there was a growth. Well, it just kept growing. So here we are. So word of mouth is huge. Marketing, I had time to market. That was a lot of time in 2020. So that was kind of neat because I did not like to do social media. I didn't mind posting things, but I did not want to be the person. And my brother, being in the acting career, when he joined me, he was like, "Kaylan, you need to be the face of Skin Boutique by Kaylan. Like, they need to see you. They need to know you before they're even coming in." And I remember I was like, he knows how I am with the camera. I'm like camera shy. So he would try to video me. I'm like, "This is not working. I can't do this with you. Love you, brother, but I can't." And we had some good times. We had lots of laughter. And one day he said, "Go to your room, go to your treatment room and just put it in front of your face and just talk and be natural." So I started that. It took me a while, but I would come out and he'd be laughing like, "Well, how long did that take?" And then, so I finally learned to just talk to the phone, talk to the camera, and just me, myself, and I. To put me in front of people, I would just be like camera shy, like just I will shut down. So through the years of doing that and extra practice, now I'm doing pretty good talking in front of people and being able to film in front of people. But if it wasn't for him pushing me to get in front of the people in social media, the word of mouth would have never grown. So organically, I feel like with Facebook, that gets you your locals. Instagram, hit or miss because I'm not the best social media expert. I'm sure there'll be people that are experts and they listen to me and they're like, "You're doing it all wrong." But here's what worked for me. I did Instagram and Facebook, but every time I would ask, "How did you hear about us?" they would say, "Oh, I saw your segment on Facebook." They never said Instagram. They always said Facebook. So I'm like, maybe Facebook was just more like your locals. So through the years, the locals would refer their friends, their family, their people who were like coming in from out of town. They'd be like, "Hey, my family's out of town for the holidays. I want them to come see you for a facial." So word of mouth built the clientele. What I've seen is I've maxed my clientele. And then when I'm trying to grow a team, that organic refer, they've got to invest in themselves now and build their clientele. But there's ways that you can do it quicker. You can pay for marketing campaigns. You can pay and do a big marketing. Lots of marketing that is a blessing. I just never did it. I just did it all by myself, and it worked. But now I'm at a point in the career I know I've got to wear the hat of the marketing part of the business and really grow my business to grow in the direction that I have a plan for in the way that we are going. But for me, organically, word of mouth is where I was able to build my clientele. And I will say, with a little pat on my back, and I'm very proud of myself, there is a good, I would say 10 to 15 loyal clients that have stuck with me from day one of me being an esthetician. So if it was from my first med spa job to Skin Secrets or the derm office, I have that amount of people that have been so loyal to follow me all the way to for sales, and I still see them to this day, and I'm so thankful for them.
That's amazing, and that just speaks volumes to the kind of service you provide and the kind of esthetician that you are to keep your clients traveling with you. Back to, we were talking about running ads and pivoting in your business. And I think what you have to do for your business changes over time. But did you ever run ads in your business?
No, not
No.
one. Never
Okay.
paid one. And this is how a little hard-headed I was. I wanted to earn every single follow. And every single follow on my Instagram and my Facebook is just what I've done. I've never paid to get followers. Now I'm at that point in my business. I'm going to. I need to. For whatever reason, though, that was a goal of mine.
So you've expanded your team. When did you decide that it was time for you to hire? How did you know that you were ready?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like different parts in the 5 years. So we're in 5 years with SBBK, and going into the 6th year, I for sure know we are at a point to grow the team. I tried to grow the team 2 years ago and had to go through trials and errors. Originally, we hired an esthetician. As I grew and needed, I realized I'm maxed out and I can only do so many days because there were certain days my husband being a firefighter, and we had littles at home. He had to stay home on his off day so I could work because it was just did not make sense to do daycare. Anybody been in that situation, they know it's like you work to pay for daycare, so it wasn't worth it. So thankfully, he had 2 days off to stay home, and then the day that he went to work, because of the littles, I had to be home with them until they got into school. So there was only so much time I had in those first few years that I knew I've maxed out. I'm booked. I'm getting a wait list going. I need to hire somebody to see these people so I don't lose them. So thankfully, our first esthetician was a success. She was amazing. Wish she would have stayed with us longer. She ended up getting an opportunity to move back to her hometown. So after that, I gave it a little downtime and rethought the vision of SBBK. I was like, okay, I'm ready to hire.
Yeah.
And so we transitioned into the next stage trying to hire. And we just never were able to get the right candidate for SBBK. So some people that we did hire, that it just did not work out with them. And I think too, it takes some of them. When I look back, they might need to be in their own entrepreneurship, build their own business. So a lot of estheticians do. We have a creative mind and want to do things a certain way. So it just didn't work out. And so moving forward, I took time off from that because I put a lot of my time and energy into two different sets of teams that just didn't work out. So I had to pull back, be still, listen, pray, ask for wisdom and guidance, and just trusting that there was going to be a plan that would work out. So moving forward, we had some transition. And then I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to hire a team. And we hired Miss Abigail Johnson about a year ago. So we now have a full-time esthetician that has been with SBBK going on her 1 year. She joined us in July officially, but as working as an esthetician was in August. So in August, we'll be celebrating her 1 year as an esthetician at SBBK. And then most recently, a couple months ago, reached out to a girl that had sent in her resume. And I noticed they both went to the same school. So I, of course, asked Abigail, it's like, is this person worth interviewing? And she's like, of course. So I was like, okay. So I interviewed her and she's been amazing. And I was like, okay, I think this is going to be our next part of our, next step to building our team. And we finally decided to hire her. And so we just recently announced that she'll be joining us this fall. And a funny thing is, whenever they saw each other and talked about her officially working at SCBK, they hugged and they're like, oh my gosh, we'll get to go to lunch like we used to in school. And I was like, oh, wait, you guys are like closer than I realized. And so thankfully, Miss Abigail kept it very professional. She did not want to skew my opinion of her friend. So it was really sweet to know, like, my esthetician is a professional esthetician. She didn't let personal life come in between that decision. I really truly think they are going to be the next Kaylan and Tanya. I had a SD bestie in school with Tanya McCoy, and we worked well as a team. So I love to see that they went to school together. They seem like they have a good friendship. So hopefully they'll be the next best team and help each other be team players.
So true. When you're in school together, it's just automatic of that partnership, and that team comes from that for most of us.
Most definitely.
What's the most challenging aspect of running your business? Because you've kind of did it all. You've hired people now to work for you. You've been solo. You've worked for other practices. What would you say to other estheticians that are thinking about branching out on their own? What is the most challenging part of running your esthetician business? And how do you manage it day to day?
It is challenging. There's no sugarcoating it. It's hard. I see now why small businesses, after 5 years or less, they don't make it. I get it. The first years you're excited, you're fueled with the hustle of it because you are determined to make it work. Second year, we saw things flourish. Third year, saw things flourish. Then there was like this, I think because the recession finally hit everybody, or they didn't call it, some people call it recession, some not, but more of everybody came out of COVID ready to spend their money and ready to get out, right? But then inflation and all the things occurred. And I feel like not only me as an esthetician, but even the small town that I live in, other women in business, talking to them, this last year was probably the hardest year financially because I think it all caught up finally and people had to choose where they're spending their money. So as far as SVBK, the most challenging was 2020. And if I could get through the 2020, just survival mode, trying to pay my first loan and pay my rent, if I was able to do that and pivot and be creative, I knew I could go through every season and get through every season, if that makes sense. So every season has its challenges. So most definitely I've been in survival mode, fight or flight, which is not a good situation to be in, but it's what got me through my business. The biggest thing though, you have to be intentional with your actions and make sure that those align with your vision for both life and business. And juggling both, I've learned as a woman, there's some women that do it well. I don't. I can put the smile on the face and be present, but I'm sinking inside. Knowing the challenges and knowing that there is going to be a success at the end of it is what keeps me going because I see the vision. I see it's going to happen, but this road has been a hard road and it's very challenging to wear all the hats. And now I've had to own up to myself to know I can't wear the hats. And that's why hopefully in January 2026, I'm going to have a new schedule so that way I can delegate certain things on certain days that will align with our vision and help grow the business, but also keep my sanity.
So looking back, what advice would you give to estheticians that are just starting out, who are trying to build their own practice or who have visions of being in business or being a solo esthetician or possibly even hiring employees at some point? What's the best advice you could give them to start out?
Oh, I wish I had heard Mel Robbins' quote where she said, not everyone has the same values, goals, or heart as you do. If I had heard that years ago, I hope it hit me, today, not today, but like in this time frame going, oh my gosh, if I had known certain things, I would have totally redone things different. And I know life happens, but for new estheticians, I think if you look at who you are as a person, everybody is made unique. So you have a gift and hone in on your gift. Don't copy off the next girl. Don't look at Instagram, which our world is saturated in. And people look at social media thinking she's got it put together. Guarantee you she doesn't. If people say you look, because I've had comments through lives like, how do you do it all? You do it so good, boss babe, all the boss babe hype. I love hashtagging that. I am a boss babe, but is it easy? No, it's not. Instagram gives these girls I don't want them. I feel like, and I saw it in a few of my estheticians, they think that it's going to be a certain lifestyle or a certain way of their career, and when they don't meet that expectation of Instagram, they sink. And it's really sad. So I really want estheticians to look at when they're new or been seasoned 10, 15, 20 years like me. Just look at yourself of who are you? What makes you unique? And hone into that. Do not look at the next person and be like, okay, well, they're doing this trend. I'm going to do it too. Just do what works for you. And I feel like you will flourish. An organic business will flourish and get their right clientele versus somebody who's copying or trying to be the next Savannah Boda. I love her, but you don't have to be her. Be you. And I would think that she would give you the same advice. You don't want to be just like the next esthetician.
I agree with that. You're right. Sometimes you just have to put those blinders on and focus on what you're doing and what makes you the best at what you're doing and not worry about what everybody else is doing.
I'm glad you mentioned the blinders because in a small business, small town, there's room for growth for everyone. So if there is another boutique store, if there's another bookstore, if there's another coffee store, you don't be in competition with each other. You build each other, cross referral, or just be supportive of each other. And that will go a long way, but you got to put your blinders on. You do, because if you keep looking at your same business, like if you're in the skincare business and you're looking at them, or if you're in the retail and you're looking at the next retail store and you're trying to sell the same thing, carry the same thing, you just won't be unique. You got to be unique, and keeping your blinders on is key to success.
I agree with you 100%. So how can estheticians or new estheticians specifically, or estheticians in general, create that strong, loyal client base in a competitive market? And I think we just touched on this, putting our blinders on. But do you have any other advice?
I truly think being you. And I feel like I have kept client retention from day one because I'm honest and integrity with my clients. I am not going to sell them 6 to 12 products because I want the commission. I'm not going to put my clients into a hydrofacial because it costs more than a microderm. My whole career, I always looked at this person and their skin as a whole. What is their skin condition? What's the plan to fix it? But also knowing knowledge, there's a lot of things in our gut that affect our skin. So when I educate my clients in their consultations, I feel like that's when I build their trust in the relationship, not what I sold them, not how I pampered them. Those are perks down the line. I think in the beginning, it's building the trust with your client to know you've got them. You are the expert in this field. You know what you're talking about. Here's your skincare plan. Here's what I recommend for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever their time frame they're wanting to work on a certain condition, and then get them in maintenance. I think if you really hone into your consultation and when you meet your client for the first time, that's critical. Then following up with them via email or a note card with their regimen. We used to do that back in the day. It is critical because they're like, oh, I forgot to do that. So there's some old school ways that we did things back in the day that I think really established my client retention, but also doing a good job on the treatment and getting them to see the change in their skin and give them that glow and giving them that aha, relaxed moment. It all just goes full circle to where it's all about the experience that they have with you. And I feel like that's what I can 100% say SBBK has grown through the years. And I pride myself in the experience that they will receive at SBBK.
You mentioned products. So how many products did you start out selling? I'm just curious, did you start out selling retail right away? Is that something you brought on at a later point? And how many lines are you currently carrying? But also, just how many did you start with?
Yeah, so opening SBBK here in for sales, I did a lot of research because, again, coming from medical, I can't carry medical without a medical director. What vitamin C, what retinol can I carry that is close to the medical grade products that I've used before to get the results? Vitamin C and my retinol was like my research for about a good 2 years. And I came across Truth Treatments. Benjamin Fuchs is a compound pharmacist guy. I believe in his science and his theory on not having all the additives. He doesn't even add water into his products. He uses like a mineral mist to help the delivery system of his products. So I solely carry for my clients that were used to coming to me and getting the best vitamin C, the best Retin-A products. I was able to convert them to these products and they love them and they're getting the results with them. The other research was what product can I use universal for every skin condition, every person, back bar, but has quality ingredients and healthy ingredients because I'm very cautious of that as well. And that's when I came across Sorella Apothecary and I fell in love with the look of their product. And I remember telling them, your product is beautiful. Please sell me on that it actually works. And they are an amazing company to work with because they invest in your education. Recently, they've been hosting summits, which I hope one day I get to go to. And they host those yearly. And they just really do support estheticians. And even me as a business owner, they're willing to work with me and my estheticians to enhance their sales. And so they're willing to help implement structure to get them where they need to be. So I'm very appreciative of that as a business owner. So I'm very proud of Sorella and the way that they kind of hold their standards as a whole for estheticians. Of course, the Glow Beauty I started using when I was 16 years old from the dermatology office. I used the powder for my makeup, and I swear by it for acne clients. So for makeup, we solely just use the tinted sunscreen currently. That is our go-to. We sell out all the time. We can't keep it in stock. So we're looking to expand our makeup line here shortly.
Okay, so you started with three lines?
So I guess mainly 2 skincare lines, True Treatments and Sorella Apothecary. And then, of course, Glow for their makeup. And we use their tinted sunscreen.
Okay. And do you feel like it served you well in your retail? Do you do quite a bit of retail?
We could do better. And that's because me being the leader, like I said, I probably got in trouble at every job I ever had because my product sales were not up. I've always been honest about that. Here's where I just looked. I would educate my clients on what they're using. If they had stuff at home I did not agree with, I told them, you've got to change this out. That's what's overstripping your barrier. That's what's causing your acne, or this is what's causing your perioral contact dermatitis. Like, there's different things that you do need to be knowledgeable about in the products and ingredients. Am I going to get mad that somebody's using CeraVe moisturizer? No. I mean, can they get something better? Yes. But let's work with a vitamin C, your retin A or retinols, and your sunscreen. Let's get you started on those. And then once you start running out of your eye cream or your moisturizer, we'll replace those with what I recommend. Because I feel like that's also a way to build trust with my clients. I'm not going to say you need to throw all that out. You need these 6 products, because I think that's overwhelming. I really want to get them on the foundation of their skincare and then grow it from there. And I have those loyal clients, and they do. They're like, you mentioned a lightening serum. I'm like, yes, I did. Let's talk about that. And like, let's get you on that lightening serum. So they listen. They really do. Your true loyal clients will listen and remember things. So then when you do recommend those down the road, they're not going to feel like you're just selling it to make a sale. It's truly selling it to make an improvement in their skin.
You know, you've created a very successful business, so you got to do what works for you.
Yes. Now, business-wise and financially, yes, am I going to motivate my girls? I am, because they might not be doing as much as they should in their early part of being an esthetician. There are better ways that you can enhance without feeling like you're a salesperson.
Absolutely.
I just don't want to be a salesperson.
I get that. And you are in the majority. I hear that all the time. What is next for your business? Do you have any exciting projects or growth plans in the works?
We do. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to finishing out this year, and 2026, I feel like it's just going to be an amazing year. Yes, we have new things happening this year, but mainly next year. So right now we have our first hire that's been with us almost a year. We've got our second hire that will start her orientation in August and really start onboarding in September is the goal for her. Going into the holidays, it's always a busy time for sales. We always have an amazing season. We have an awesome town that is growing. With that, we have the cross referral connections, and I'm actually Wednesday having a meeting with the Aldenburg Hotel, so we can have an exclusive treatment for them, the Aldenburg facial. So that's a huge opportunity for SBBK, because especially with having the 2 estheticians growing their clientele, once this hotel launches, and if we have that referral from both hotels, we are the place and going to be this fall destination for sales. It's exciting movement in our town that is, I think, going to really help SBBK go in the direction that we're looking to go.
Yeah, and that's a really smart strategy, is networking with other businesses and to grow your business.
Yes.
Where can people find you and follow you online? Where's the best way to reach out to you?
Right now, it's Vigaro. So it's www.vigaro.com/skinboutique by Kaylan. But we are actually getting ready to launch our first website.
That's exciting.
I did it backwards, Amber. You're supposed to have a website first when you have a business. So I have done things backwards. I probably should write a book of what not to do as a business owner, and I'll save you all a lot of headache. So we're about to launch that this fall. So we're really excited. So as soon as we get that, I'll send that to you. So if you can share that, that'd be great. But the best way to get online and schedule is through our Vigaro system. But you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Skin Boutique by Kaylan.
Skin Boutique by Kaylan on Instagram, right? Okay. I'll put the link in the notes so that you can go and give Kaylan a follow and let us know if you have any questions and what you thought about this podcast. Kaylan, thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so sorry I talk too much. My kids always say, Mom, you always go off topic. So thank you for being patient with me today, getting my stories out. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.